Good morning. Welcome to Business Morning on Sunrise Daily. I'm Ini John Mekwa, and we have a lot of business to do this morning, so we'll just get right into it, beginning with what's going on in the grains space. Chicago soybean and corn futures they fell on Tuesday and were near three-year lows as forecasts on rainfall in South America bolstered expectations of ample supplies. Wheat slipped as declining Russian grain prices maintained pressure. Let's look at the numbers there. We see soybeans is down 0.3% at $11.89 for a quarter of a bushel. That's for soybeans. The U.S. Department of Agriculture cuts its Brazilian soy harvest forecast last week by a smaller amount than expected and raised global supply projection to the highest on record. We also have for corn. Corn was also down 0.2%. The price dropped to $4.29 for half a bushel. Remember that Brazilian beans are trading at a sharp discount to the U.S. market as abundant supplies flow to external terminals. Now, let's go to the oil space and see what's happening there. Prices rose slightly on Tuesday on fears of Middle East tensions amid supply disruption, but uncertainty about the pace of potential U.S. interest rate cuts and the ensuing impact on fuel demand capped gains. Looking at the numbers, we see that Brent is at $82, a good state for Nigeria. You know, this is our mainstay in the country. $82.07, went up 0.1%. WTI also gained, but obviously, as usual, is lower than Brent, $77.02 a barrel. As we know, this is sweet and easier to refine. That's one of the reasons why it's higher up right there. Now, let's see the factors affecting this. Now, the conflict in the Middle East has kept prices elevated, but worries about interest rates limited price gains. The New York Fed has said that a January survey of consumer expectation is expected to be out today. Outlook for inflation a year and 5 years from now were unchanged, with both remaining above Fed's 2% target. If inflation worries delay Fed interest rate cut, that could affect oil demand, and of course that will affect price. US inflation data is expected later on today. British inflation and Eurozone is expected on Wednesday, that's tomorrow. Market participants await industry data on US crude inventories, which is due later on today. Another factor which in the coming days would most obviously affect the price of global crude oil is from Russia, because a chunk of the vast fleet of tankers that Russia uses to deliver its crude oil is grinding to a halt under the weight of regulation of US sanctions that might be starting to have tangible effects on Moscow. About half of the 50,000 that were supposed to 50 tankers that the U.S. Treasury began sanctioning on October the 10th have failed to load cargoes since they were listed. This is according to ship-by-ship tracking of each one by Bloomberg, the latest to be targeted in that area. And we know that once this supply from Russia is cut off, then obviously global supply is affected, and this elevates prices. Well, back here in Nigeria now, the UK Minister of Business and Trade, Kemi Badenoch, says that the UK is committed to bridging trade deficits with Nigeria through the enhanced trade partnership, which will be signed with Nigeria today in Abuja. She revealed this at a reception in our honor in Lagos.
This is one of the things that the Enhanced Trade and Investment Partnership will be signing tomorrow, is hoping to help deal with. The UK sees Nigeria as a country of enormous potential. We have a long-standing history, and one of the best ways that Nigeria can reduce that deficit is by increasing its exports. So looking at what we can do in order to help Nigeria export more. This is very good, especially when there are foreign exchange difficulties, amongst other things. So one of the things that I've been discussing today today is the difficulties operating businesses in Nigeria. There are global economic challenges which every country is facing. Almost every country on the planet is dealing with very high inflation or inflation that's much higher than what they're used to. And these are the sorts of things which will discourage investment. But there will be country-specific issues as well. And tomorrow, apart from signing the ETIP with Minister for the Minister for Trade, I'll also be meeting other government ministers to see how we can work together to help create that good business environment for British business, which will probably benefit other countries as well.
Says that she will help to build that investor confidence in the country after that signing. Well, during the same event, the Nigerian Minister of Trade and Investment, Dr. Doris Uzoka-Anite, the host in this case, said that when signed, the ETP will make Nigeria a more favorable partner to the UK.
The ETP is actually an enhanced trade and investment partnership between the UK and the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and it's the first of its kind. And I think we should give ourselves a warm applause for that. And we know what having a trade agreement or investment agreement means. It means that more money will flow into Nigeria. Everybody say yeah to that. And hopefully we'll see more trade happen between the two countries. We have been doing a lot of trade in the past, but now it's about to go on nitro. So now we're going to make UK, and the UK is going to make us a more favored partner in trading and investment.
Well, any legal thing to boost trade and increase FX flow into the country, of course, is welcome. So later on, that signing will be done in Abuja later today. And of course, we'll bring it up to you here on Channels Television, especially on our business program, so you don't want to miss that. But one glaring truth that's facing all Nigerians at this time is the issue of the high cost of living, and of course, how it's affecting, or, well, I guess you feel it from the commodities, price of commodities. I had a bag of rice about 70,000 naira, and it doesn't look like it's going down in spite of the announcement by the president, the release of grain, and some state governors have also made given directive. Well, I guess we would have to wait and see how that goes. Well, let's talk about the cost of living, the price of commodities, and some other salient issues in Nigeria with senior economist with financial derivatives company, Dumebi Oluwole. Hi, Dumebi, good morning.
Good morning, Ini.
Yeah, so, I mean, you're a woman. So, I mean, when we talk of the price of commodities, I'm sure you feel it firsthand. You feed your family, you go to the market, take the children. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's subsiding.
Yes, unfortunately it isn't, and this would likely be the case for the next few months, simply because we're still battling issues with food production. We've seen from some northern states going on a protectionist stance, meaning that they are going to prioritize their produce for their indigenes first before sending down to other states in the country. We're still having issues with logistics costs simply because petrol prices and even diesel prices are skyrocketing. And this is, and most of the trucks that bring food into other states in the country are diesel run. So that also feeds into their cost, feeds into the cost of food items. Essentially, the issues that are causing low agricultural productivity have significantly increased in the past few months, and this would likely remain until we see some significant strides from the government to actually address these issues. And for the layman, or for the average Nigerian, average consumer, the increase in commodity prices will still continue. I think the final issue feeding into this is exchange rate depreciation, and this is coming into the price of, or feeding into domestic commodity prices through the high importation costs. The import duty on the exchange rate for import duty has also increased as well to reflect, the actual market rate. And it moved from around, I think, 950 naira to $1 to over 1,200. So now that exchange rate depreciation is feeding into the import cost for commodity items, and essentially this upward trend in food prices would largely continue.
Now, IMF is giving a lot of advice. First, they said that our reserve will drop to about 29 billion, and then they're asking CBN to raise about 2 trillion through OMO bills. Obviously, that's to mop up cash and maybe deal with inflation. Do these strategies sound like what can bring succor to the common man?
So I'll talk about it in two ways, because there are two aspects to actually addressing the rise in commodity prices in Nigeria today. The first is what the IMF is speaking to, which is on the monetary policy side of things. And the approach to this is to mop up excess liquidity in the system. Why this route is extremely important is because we've seen an increase in cash in circulation. And it just goes off of the back of economic theory, where we say, where we define inflation to an extent as too much money chasing too few goods. So we know that commodities in the market are in short supply, but there's also an increase in cash in the system. And this happened from the Naira redesign that took place in Q4 2023 into Q1 2023. There was an influx of new Naira notes alongside the old Naira notes. And we did see this uptick materialize in the total cash in circulation. Now, whether people are actually using it to spend so much is another thing for another day, because disposable income is low. But we do know that there's an influx of cash in the system. And one way to actually reduce the impact of that on prices, or to stabilize prices, is to mop up this excess liquidity. And issuing OMO bills does that from the CBN side of things. Okay. And also the CBN removing the cap on the standard deposit facility also does this. So basically the idea is encourage people to bring in money to invest or to save more, so that there's less cash in the system that could drive up prices. So that's what the IMF is speaking to from the CBN side of things. Okay. But I wanted to, it seems you have a question just before I go on.
No, we're just out of time. That's
I see.
Okay, but you can just summarize in less than a minute.
Okay, summarizing, fiscal and monetary policy consolidation is important. The structural issues on the fiscal side of things need to also be addressed alongside these contractionary monetary policy measures to actually bring down prices.
All right, Dumebi, thank you so much. We'll certainly have you on Thursday, and I'm sure we can, broaden on that conversation. But thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, now we go to what we're discussing next, which is investment opportunities, perhaps in the real estate. We have joining us to discuss this Dr. Stephen Akintayo. He's the chairman, GTEX Holdings, and I know you've been hearing a lot from him. His latest move now is in the United States. He acquired about 40 acres of property in Houston, the United States, and he's giving maybe Nigerians, not just Nigerians, but investors opportunity to buy into this and also to own green property. We know now energy is very important. So when you talk about green and smart estate, and then you also look at the provision of power, then it becomes really important. Dr. Akintayo, thank you so much for your time. Good morning.
Good morning. I love your new studio.
Oh, thank you. You haven't been here in a while. You've been doing virtual. You've been missing.
It's lovely. I love this.
Thank you.
This is good.
Thank you so much.
Class.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. So first of all, I think we should clear the air when it comes to real estate investment, because recently in Nigeria, we had news and incidents. We've seen videos on social media about fraudulent activities around the real estate investment. Some people gave money, they don't get allocation. So this, of course, is a source of fear for, unfortunately, Nigeria is already on corruption side, and then you now have this. So what's going on? You are in the estate. What's going on? How do you assure, people who are interested in what you're doing that it's clean, your investment is secured?
So, I have to be honest. It's easy for, and I've said this to a lot of our colleagues, it's easy for when issues happen with another company, for another company to come and say, well, we are saints, we are not like them, when in reality it's an industry issue. And sometimes it's not even about fraud or anything of such. Like in the case of the one that went viral, Lagos State got involved. It wasn't a case of fraud. It was a clear case of, you not paying all the money that was required. So what the amount the man claimed he had paid wasn't even what he paid, and he was committed to a particular amount and he had not finished paying. They cannot allocate to you.
So, or maybe perhaps the real estate company, they make this thing very juicy and people miss out the small prints, so at the end of the day, those things come out.
I think we have a fundamental issue of affordability, right, when it comes to real estate. And it's a major issue. And it's a government issue. It's not real estate developers' issue. Because, for example, I got a 70% institutional funding for a $150 million project. Pre-approval in 24 hours, right? You won't get that in Nigeria. So literally, as an investor, I don't need to look for a whole $150 million to do a 40-acre, over 400 housing unit. No, I just need to bring maybe 30%. In fact, some people who are probably US citizens could drop as low as 5%. And you can get that entire asset. So we don't have that in Nigeria. If you want to do real estate, you have to bring the entire money. Now, that's not developers' problem, because assuming the banks also give developers, because in this case now, the investor or whoever are in charge of whoever I'm buying property from, for example, in the US, is getting his full money. But it's just that the bank will bring some, me, the investor, I bring just a token. So until CBN, the federal government look for a way to make sure that the house you are buying is the collateral. Because not this one, I have to bring my parents' certificate.
So is that why this is CATI USA and not CATI Nigeria?
Exactly. So we're having that issue where people then feel like, okay, I've paid X amount, you've not allocated to me, right? But in reality, I also can't allocate to you because I don't have the full money. Right, so that is creating an issue generally in the sector. Also, we have liquidity issue generally in the sector. So it's a major challenge, in the Nigerian real estate sector. But it's largely affordability. So sometimes even developers are having to now promote, okay, deposit 50,000, you're a landlord, all those kind of stuff, because people really can't afford to pay a lot more.
And mortgage is not helping. But anyway, let's not go into all of that. Let's talk about your CATI USA,
yes.
That you're having. Tell us about it. And interesting, for me, is when you say it is smart.
Yes.
Because, we have climate change. We know how hot it is now. And all those little things connect to, the climate change at the end of it. So tell us about it.
Yeah, so, it's a 40-acre property, and we've done a couple of open house. We have several big guests, who joined us in the US, for the open house. But we're building between 400 and 500 units. We're in the approval phase, so hopefully we get approval for more than 400. And of course, it's going to be it's a community that will have its own driving range in terms of golf, aquarium, it's a mall. So you have everything. We even have an artificial lake that's going to be there, and it's green and smart. If I weren't completed, it would be the largest in US as of today.
The green and smart is very interesting. How do you hope to do that? Is it solar? Is it...
Yeah, so we're doing a combination of solar and wind energy. So if you look at the 3D, I don't know whether they're playing it, you will see surrounding the artificial lake is the wind turbine. And then on each of the roof, we kind of created like a solar farm on every of the roof, that we're having, right? So, and if we need more, we will have land to put more as well.
And this is only for the big guys.
Again, that's the beauty of the US, right? Affordability is there, right? So there's financing, there's mortgage for investing. For us, we've secured 70% institutional funding for it. It's a $150 million project. Our existing companies also put another 15%. So we created a debt syndication, filed with the US SEC, or what do they call them? Security Exchange Commission in the US. And so people are able to invest, and get returns annually.
So, but it's not just people in the US that can invest.
No, people can invest from anywhere in the world. In fact, for the housing, we've not launched that yet. That will be coming up in August, where people can now buy into the house itself. But for now, it's just raising the funds, because you need to have all your funds ready even before you start construction, right? It's not like you start construction and not hoping, oh, do I have enough money to finish it? No, it doesn't work that way.
Okay, so what you are calling out for now is investors,
yes,
not people who want to leave.
No, for those who are buying it in August, we'll be back and we'll announce for those who want to buy. What's
happening in August?
Is for the launching for those who want to buy into the housing, right? So because for the housing, we're not even selling directly. We're partnering with, what's their name again? They are one of the largest in terms of real estate brokerage in the US. And we had to do that because, again, America is a very litigious country, right? So if you don't work with a big brokerage firm, you can have everybody who bought from you suing you over, oh, the pipe was, something was wrong here, something was wrong there. So even in terms of selling the house itself, it is having to go to the #1 brokerage firm in the whole of Texas, right? And so they are handling that. But we'll still do like a launch of that as well.
In the US?
In the US, yes.
But aren't you encouraging Japan? I thought we're looking for how to bring people back home, bring investment back home, bring forex back home.
Yes, this is good, right? Part of the challenge, and we're not addressing this issue, part of the challenge Nigeria has is, for example, if you look at Shell, Chevron, these are American companies. That's part of the problem. They come here, they do business here, they repatriate their money back to America, right? So to even solve the FX issue, you need to have Nigerian-owned companies all over the world who are able to then bring money back to Nigeria. The Chinese are doing that, Indians are doing that.
I know Indians, they're mainstays. Remittances.
Yes, we are not doing that because all our people, even when we japa, we only focus on just get a job. I'm a nurse, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer. And we know when we talk about, personal finance, the cash flow quadrant, how really for you to become financially free is through investment or through owning businesses. So for us, for me, this is not just about, and that's part of why we're talking about it, is to encourage our people. First of all, you don't need to close down your business in Nigeria if you want to expand internationally, like our people do. You see people shut down their business here and then relocate and then start
all over.
Ridiculous kind of job. You don't need to do that. You can go into run your business here. You can have partners, who are on ground to partner with you with what you have here, while you then see how you can expand that internationally and still grow that as well. Because, this Japa thing, we can't stop it. And if we can't stop it, how do we manage it in such a way that it's adding value to us as a nation, to us as a people, and even our reputation are respected? I was saying to people, I said, if we have had enough Nigerian businesses, Trump would not have been talking to us the way he was talking. Right? And that's just
because he would know how much we are contributing to the economy.
Exactly, and that was his argument. His argument wasn't that he shouldn't come to his country, it's that what are you creating jobs? Because if you are coming and because you are people of color, you are willing to take cheaper pay, right? It then means that white Americans can't get those jobs, and those jobs are going to immigrants, right? But if you are the one creating the job, now you are respected anywhere in the world. When we moved to Dubai, I was sharing the story of how we moved to Dubai. I said, can I even see, as a beginner, I was, proud, like, oh, we Nigerians were one of your biggest investors. When they gave me top 10, we're not there. Top 20, we're not there. Because even when we then do investment, we don't do it legitimately in such a way that the numbers can be captured. That, yes, this came from Nigerians. So, and that's why they treat us anyhow, because there's no data to show how much are we adding. In fact, we have not even started construction. The congresswoman gave me a congressional recognition in Houston, last month during our conference there. But that tells you that's what they want to see. They want to see people coming in, creating jobs, bringing opportunities, and that's really what
So you are representative.
We are ambassador. Even though they don't give me an award in Nigeria with all that we have done, but they're giving us even before we start construction. But again, it's part of what I hope Nigeria evolves into. Our politicians know that entrepreneurs are your partners. If there's no job, you're in trouble. It's not that the day they see me on TV now, they start sending me tax letter. We need to understand how, it's a symbiotic relationship between entrepreneurs and politicians. We need each other to grow the nation.
All right, Dr. Akintayo, I wish you the very best. We know that it doesn't matter what it looks like. Nigerians are survivors. You have a lot of Nigerians coming to you.
I know.
And not the government coming for time.
I know.
All right, Dr. Stephen Akintayo, thank you so much, Chairman of GTEX Holdings. Thank you for your time.
I appreciate it.
All righty. All right, now, just before we go, hand over back to the Sunrise Daily team. Let's do a bit of market now. Access Core, the sad news over the weekend. By Monday, the stocks or the share price had dropped about more than 6%, losing about 26 naira, a huge one. No wonder that the parent company of Access Bank has now appointed the most senior executive director, Mrs. Bolaji Agbede, to head the company. That's a couple of days after the death of Dr. Herbert Wigwe, who is the company's founding group CEO. Ms. Agbede is to hold the position of acting group executive officer, according to a statement that was signed by the bank, joining the League of Women Banking CEOs. Dr. Wigwe, of course, we know the story, the sad one, celebrating his life and times already, for such a great man. But let's talk about what happened to the stock prices or the share prices yesterday. We see it drop. And I'm sure that's one of the reasons why the company had to ensure there was no vacuum, because uncertainty is never a friend of money or investment or investors. So that's why we saw that drop. 23 naira, 20 kobo is what it closed with after it dropped 6.26%. It was the highest stock traded yesterday, 24.90 million. But profit taking was upon it. Let's have Abdulrasheed Momo now from TRW stockbrokers to tell us what really investors are saying and thinking around this. Mr. Momo, good morning. Thank you for your time.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay, thank you. Is it safe to say that it's because of a level of uncertainty after the sad incident? Is that why we saw profit taking on the stocks yesterday, Access Corp?
Well, let's just say coincidentally, yes, there was a form of panic sell yesterday, but the stock actually, I wouldn't say it recovered. As we speak now, the market is up. Access Corp is up by about, I think it's trading about 23, 25 now. But see, you need to know that the untimely death actually came when the market was actually, we've been seeing corrections in the market for the past, I think, 2 weeks now. So, and as we say, Access actually has good succession plan, actually naming a new acting as it goes. But what I'll say, sorry for being like that, the death of the past CEO actually came in when market was actually doing, a lot of correction, because yesterday a lot of the banks were on the downside.
So now that there's at least an acting CEO, it shouldn't affect sentiment, investor sentiment in any way, I guess.
No, at all. You see, one thing you need to know is that Access Corp is a strong brand. Yes, we expect, we always tell people in the market, for every opportunity you see for stock price going down, always take advantage, because as we speak now, Access is trading, as I said, the overall bid is about 11 million compared to about 4 million offer now. And note that, if you look at it, their financials are still very intact from the Q3. So the death of their past CEO is not likely going to change what it's already coming up soon.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Abdulrasheed Momo. As you said, the brand is a strong one. Obviously, over the years, has won the confidence of investors. Thank you so much for your time this morning. All right, now we hand over back to the Sunrise Daily team. Back to you guys.